So welcome students. So in this question you're given that limit x tends to infinity f of x is equal to infinity. As x tends to infinity, f of x also goes to infinity. And you're given that limit x tends to infinity, f of x minus g of x is equal to 10. So if that is so, you're asked to find this limit, f of x plus 5g of x by 10g of x minus f of x. So how do we do this? So let us try to relate f of x and g of x. So can I say that as x tends to infinity, f of x minus 5 times g of x tends to 10. So that's the meaning of this. That is, f of x tends to 5 times g of x plus 10. So as x tends to infinity, obviously f of x has to tend to 5g of x plus 10. So f of x minus 5g of x will tend to 0. Now if we use this, so what is the result that I get from this? As x tends to infinity, f of x tends to this. Now, as x tends to infinity, f of x goes to infinity. So 5g of x plus 10 also goes to infinity. That means, as x tends to infinity, g of x, 5g of x plus 10, if it tends to infinity, obviously g of x also tends to infinity. That means, as x tends to infinity, if f of x is going to infinity, g of x has to go to infinity. Then only there is a possibility of getting a finite number on subtraction. So now let us use these two principles in our solution. So limit x tends to infinity, as x tends to infinity, where is f of x going to? F of x is tending to 5g of x plus 10. So I can write as 5g of x plus 10 plus 5g of x divided by 10g of x will remain same. I'm trying to convert f of x in terms of g of x. Minus 5 times f of x will tend to 5g of x plus 10. So that means this expression is tending to let's see what is happening. Limit x tends to infinity. So 5g of x plus 5g of x is 10g of x plus 10. So 10 plus 10 times g of x and divided by. So you have minus 50 here. So minus 50 minus 25g of x plus 10g of x minus 15g of x. So this expression, which is this expression, will tend to this. Now, as x tends to infinity, you can see that g of x and g of x are tending to infinities. So with comparison to 10g of x, so can I neglect this 10? Because this is going to infinity, infinity plus 10. This 10 is very negligible when compared to this. Similarly, this minus 50 is negligible when compared to minus 15g of x. So that is equal to limit x tends to infinity, 10g of x divided by minus 15g of x. Wherever this goes, this also goes the same. Where? So g of x and g of x are getting cancelled. So the answer is minus 2 by 3. That means this limit is going to minus 2 by 3. Thank you.